Hello there, you amazing viewers and subscribers. Welcome to a brand new Doctor Who video for today. So in this video, I'm going to be doing a Doctor Who discussion, and no other than on my third favourite incarnation of the Doctor, played by Patrick Troughton, aka known as the Cosmic Hobo. Now, the way I'm going to do this video, I'm going to be ranking the stories I've seen of him, because there are 21 stories. Some of these stories don't physically exist, but they are being animated and stuff. There's literally 5 stories left to be animated. There are 17 that I have seen. 17 out of 21. This is quite good. Some of these are through live action or animation style, so that will be on here. Also, I'm going to be talking about his other appearances in Doctor Who, like the 3 Doctors, the 5 Doctors, and of course the 2 Doctors in 1973, 1983, and 1985. And also I'm going to be talking about the 2nd Doctor's friends, his companions, and some other stuff from his era that I absolutely love. So a little bit here I got written about the 2nd Doctor. The 2nd Doctor was the first Doctor to actually invent the sonic screwdriver, and its introductory story was actually the Fury from the Deep, which has been animated. Now the 2nd Doctor has a very hard job. He had the hardest job out of all the Doctors. He had to take over William Hartnell. He had to prove that it can be done, and he had to try and prove he can be the Doctor. Now, this is where we see the Doctor not very grumpy and stuff. This is the introduction to the Doctor, to a side of the Doctor we see. Because during William Hartnell's Doctor really didn't interfere in other people's and planets' affairs. But when he went into the 2nd Doctor, Troughton just skipped everything about that, and he started interfering in other people and planets' affairs and tried to help them. So, talking about the main villains that we also see in Troughton's run, like the Daleks and the Cybermen, we are also introduced into some new villains, like the Ice Warriors, the Makra, the Chameleons, and of course the Quarks. So, what can I tell you about the main parts of Troughton's stories I absolutely love? Because Troughton took over the show halfway through season 4 was being broadcast. Because in 2 stories of season 4 are William Hartnell stories, where the rest of them are all Patrick Troughton stories. Now, also, let me say this. Troughton's Doctor also basically adopted 2 companions of William Hartnell's Doctor, aka Ben and Polly. They were there when they saw him regenerate, and they do leave him in season 4 in the Faceless Ones. So Troughton he also encounters Jamie McCrimmon in his 2nd episode, who later goes and becomes the longest companion to the Doctor. Completely. He's one of the longest ones. Some of the others just stay. After staying in the series for 4 seasons, him and Joe Grant, Sarah Jane, and of course Tegan are some of the longest companions to the Doctor in Classic Who. Of course, we also have Victoria Waterfield, who the Doctor also adopts because of her father dying during the effect of the Daleks, the Evil of the Daleks, which I will be talking about. Also, we have Zoe Hart, who basically stoles away in the TARDIS, and then she gets sent back with Jamie before their adventures with the Doctor progressed. So, I also love this era of the show, because not only does the Doctor have Ben, Polly, Jamie, Victoria, and Zoe, 5 companions, it gives us some great moments. I mean, you got an iconic moment in episode 3 of The Wheel in Space, where you have the someone going, "You know our ways, you must be destroyed." And then you have Troughton going, "I imagined you had orders to destroy me." I absolutely do like Troughton's performance. Also, again, I love the fact when Troughton tells the Time Lords off in the War Games episode 10, "You can't change what I look like without consulting me. Oh, he's too old. That one's too young. Oh, that won't do at all. That is ridiculous. You're wasting time, Doctor. Is this all the best you could do? I've not seen such an incredible bunch." Again, I love when Troughton is there arguing with the Time Lords. Literally says, "Why you have been here observing the evil in the galaxy? I have been fighting against it." And he shows them images of the Daleks, Cybermen, everything from his run. Also, we are encountered to the Brigadier Alistair Gordon Leopard Stewart, played by Nicholas Courtney, who becomes one of the longest running characters in Doctor Who. I mean, Nicholas Courtney plays the Doctor's third Brigadier from 1968 down to 1989, containing over quite a lot of the Doctors. The only Doctor he doesn't actually meet on screen is the Sixth Doctor. Troughton's run ended basically, his last ever story as the Doctor was actually broadcast on the 21st of June 1969. But Troughton does appear in 3 more Doctor Who adventures after his entire run. So the very first time he actually makes a return is in the 3 Doctors that was broadcast on the 30th of December 1972 to the 15th of January 1973. Now this is where we see the Doctor not really getting on with himself. The 3rd Doctor and the 2nd Doctor really do argue quite a lot, and Troughton gives another great performance as the 2nd Doctor. I actually love the bit goes, "Oh, no. You see, Joe, he is one of me. Oh, I see, you're timeless. Quite, but not quite. You see, we're not just Time Lords. We're the same Time Lord." I absolutely love the way he does that. I love the bit in the 5 Doctors Far Away Returns for the 25th of November 1983 in the 5 Doctors where he's there with the Brigadier and he goes, "Well, I shouldn't really be here at all, Brigadier. I'm not presenting breaking the laws of time, but I am bending them a little. You never really bothered about rules as much as I remember. What is it, Brigadier? I'm afraid our past is catching up to us. Maybe it's our future. Come on, run!" I absolutely love that bit. And I do like that bit with the Doctor and the Brigadier when you see the chemistry. And then, of course, the 2nd Doctor does appear in season 22 in the 2 Doctors in 1985 with against Colin Baker's Doctor, where Troughton's Doctor is the one that gets captured by the Santarans and Death Starry and Jacini, so they can try and get hold of the bit that controls the TARDIS. So that's a little bit of information about Troughton's mainly run. So how do I rank the stories I've seen of Troughton from his era? So in 17th place, I have put The Underwater Menace. Yeah, this one isn't really that good for me. I don't quite enjoy it. If it was animated, I think I would actually enjoy this one a lot more. But the fact is, it's not. It's only got 2 existing episodes. And the BBC haven't really bothered to animate the others. I really think its reputation is bad for that. I don't know about the story pretty much. I've only watched it for episodes 2 and 3. I don't like sitting down watching the reconstructions. I hate the sitting down and you have to watch the image, like photo stuff for the soundtrack. I really hate it. I hate that all the time. I really do. Every time I try to watch a missing Doctor Who story, I borrowed quite a few off a few friends over the years, and I just give them back without only watching like 1 second of it because I really don't like the telesnap stuff. 16th place is The Dominators. Again, this one for me, it's good. I do quite enjoy it, but it's not as great as other Troughton stories. Sorry, another Sofa Guy, because I know this is your favourite story for Troughton, but for me, I just can't get interested to it. I think the Quarks are very silly, and I really think the story drags out. I mean, it's 5 episodes long, and it does feel like it does drag out completely. 15th place is View from the Deep. Now, this one is because of the animation. If we had the live action existed, I think it would have been a lot better. I mean, the music works for it. You got the creepiness, the seaweed stuff. It's just, I think the animation does kind of suck a little bit for this story. Again, I can't blame him for that because I did try their best with it. I mean, it's a missing story. I shouldn't really be moaning, so tell me to shut up moaning. Yeah, I will stop moaning about that story. I just can't help but moaning about it because it's not as good as other animation stuff. I mean, if you watched either the Daleks, Power of the Daleks, and the Macra Terror, the animations in that are pretty much really, really great and awesome. I just don't like the Web of View from the Deep that much. I have watched all 6 episodes. It's great to sit down and watch a missing story, but not as much as other stories. Right then, so 14th place, I have put The Croutons. This was either my first or second story of Troughton that I watched of Troughton during his run. I like The Croutons. I think they're a good design. I like the fact the Doctor sets the hazards for the first time as well. The hostile action control unit where As TARDIS comes under attack, it just relocates on the same planet, not that far. Episode 13th place, sorry, I have put The Ice Warriors. Now, this is, for me, this is a very, very weak story for The Ice Warriors. Yes, it is the iconic story because it's the one that introduces them and other stuff, but it doesn't feel as good as other stories, as I should say. Again, it's very much okay. Episodes 3 and 4 have been animated to make the story exist. I like the Victoria Waterfield. I do like that, but the thing is, though, she does keep screaming in this story, so I think Victoria Waterfield just kept screaming in most of her stories. Apart from Evil of the Daleks, I don't really think she's screamed a couple of times in that one. 12th place, I have put The Mind Robber. Yes, The Mind Robber. This one, for me, it's quite good. I like the fact that Fraser Hines was replaced only for a few episodes because Fraser Hines came down with chickenpox. So he was ill in his trailer, covering from chickenpox when they were filming the story. So he's in it for a couple of scenes in episode 1, and then somebody else took over. And it goes back to Fraser Hines in the next story, but it's still pretty much an enjoyable story. I do enjoy it. 11th place, I have to say, it is The Enemy of the World. This one, for me, it feels a bit like a Jon Pertwee story. I think it sets up the Pertwee story era really well, this story, because it feels much of a Jon Pertwee story. Even though it has Patrick Troughton playing 2 performances, like the Doctor and Salamander. I like the fact that Troughton actually does that absolutely spot on and brilliantly. Absolutely, I do love that, I have to say. 10th place, The Faceless Ones. Yes, I do like the whole bit where the Chameleon tours, where they got a spaceship disguised as an aeroplane, going up to their big base, taking all the holiday people, going back down, refilling it, so on and so on, and replacing the people that, replacing the people they shapeshift into. Quite enjoyable. Do like that story. 9th place, it is The Macra Terror. I love The Macra Terror. The music is absolutely great. It makes everything feel safe at one point with the very, very happy-go music in this kind of base. It's a good base 100C story again. I like when you see the Macra coming out, when you have Ben and Polly there, and she's screaming, "There's another one!" And she's like, and the Macra's just there with the big eyes coming out with the big pinchers. I do like that. And the way the Macra are very, very intelligent. I don't like the way they were brought back into Modern Who, because in Gridlock they lost the intelligence. Russell T Davies made them into these kind of savage creatures, when that's not the Macra at all. I really don't like Russell T Davies for that, but what can I say? 8th place is The Moon Base. It's a good base on Jacide story. I very much enjoy that story. I like the fact we have the submarine trying to get hold of the weather control unit on the moon. I like the fact Jamie comes infected by the cyber plague that's going around at the moment, and they're trying to kidnapping humans. I do quite enjoy that story. 7th place, it is The Seeds of Death. Again, this is another based on Jacide story. I quite enjoy it when the Ice Warriors take over Team Matt. I like the fact that the Doctor has to use a normal space rocket to try and get into the actual teammate base, and then when he finds out it's been took over by Ice Warriors, I love the bit where he's there literally running around, and then he's there like that, literally running around, and then when you see him come across an Ice Warrior, he's like that, and he's there, and you just see him running around. I do like that story for Troughton. That does always make me laugh. He's like, I absolutely do love the way Troughton filmed that scene, I have to say. 6th place, it is The Web of Fear. Now, in this one, I do physically much love. Again, it follows on from The Enemy of the World, where Salamander left the TARDIS doors open in space, and the Doctor's there trying to hold Victoria, and he's there telling James to close the doors. I like the fact you have where you have the return of the Yeti Underground. So when you see the Doctor and the TARDIS team walk out of the TARDIS, investigating, and then the Doctor's there, and then you hear, when it's the Yeti when you hear the bleep, 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 like the spheres when it does that kind of biddy, 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 like very kind of like really high-pitched sound with the Yetis, and then they put the whole thing with the box set, and the Doctor's there investigating it at the end of part 1, and then when it blows from his face, it's like, oh! Again, Troughton's Doctor isn't really seen until episode 3 of The Web of Fear. He's not really in it for episode 2. In fact, this is the first story that introduces Nicholas Courtney's character as Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart. I absolutely do like the story when you see Colonel, sorry, where you see Lethbridge Stewart. I think he's a colonel. Colonel, sorry, because it's not until the invasion becomes a brigadier. I love the fact you kind of see him leading the attack against the robot Yetis and the Great Intelligence. I do like that episode. It's actually quite enjoyable. If you haven't seen it, I recommend get the special edition just for the animation of episode 3, because I think the animation works really, really well in black and white. Where you watch it in colour, it doesn't actually work, because it's the only story that stands out in colour, I have to say. 5th place is the War Games. Again, I do like the story. I like the Warlords. I like the War Chief. I think he's a great, interesting character. That is one of the Doctor's race. This is the very first time the Time Lords basically appear. The Time Lords actually do appear in the story. Absolutely do enjoy the story. I like the fact when the Doctor is there arguing with the Time Lords, trying to regain his freedom, and the Time Lords are just not having it. So I do like that kind of dynamic with the Time Lords. And of course, I do exile him to Earth and put him on trial. In 4th place, I have put the Tomb of the Cybermen, because this is where I really think the Cybermen become a great menace to the Doctor. Because while the Doctor is there on the planet Teros with a bunch of humans trying to do an expedition on the Cybermen, they come across a Cyber Tomb. And inside the Cyber Tomb, they find Cybermen. And what is the one thing that you do? You do not go and rake loads of Cybermen out of flipping suspension animation units. Because when they come to life, you know you're in deep trouble. When they open the door and you see that huge cyber controller, when he opens the door. And then he goes, "You will belong to us. You shall be like us." Again, I love it when you just have that whole music going, dun 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 dun. I absolutely do love that cliffhanger to part 2 and part 2. Again, I like the part 1 cliffhanger where somebody gets shot. I like the bit with the Doctor with the cyber controller when he's there with Jamie. He goes, "Jamie, when I say run, run, run." Again, I love the fact that the second Doctor talks to Zoe, where she's there trying to talk to him about her father, and then she asks him about his family. He goes, "Oh yes, I do remember my family, but that's the thing, I've really got to remember them if I really want them they're living there." I do like that a little bit. My third favourite Troughton story is The Invasion. Again, I just love this. I love the fact when you have Tiberius Thorne controlling, like working with the Cybermen and the Cyber Planner, trying to control Earth. I love the fact when you see the Cybermen just coming out this, like, the kind of hot things, and they're shooting, the second Doctor's there going, "Oh, oh, oh, oh," like that. And you just see him, like, jumping up and down because they're shooting him, and he's just trying to jump to get out of the blast. I do like that with Troughton's run. I absolutely think that's a great scene for Troughton. Now, my second favourite story is, this one was only released on DVD and Blu-ray last week. And it is The Evil of the Daleks. I really do like the animation for this. I think it's a great animation story, and it's the best one I've seen since the Macra Terror, really, for the animation-wise. I absolutely do like the story. I like the whole plot of the story as well. I think the animation absolutely works for this story. And when you see the Dalek Emperor, the animation makes it look so great with the Dalek Emperor just go, when he's there talking, "Doctor," and the Doctor goes, "Yes, I thought we will meet one day." Like that. And I love the fact in episode 2, because episode 2 there's like literally a surviving episode of that story. And I love the bit when the Doctor's there talking to Mr. Warfield and the kind of nasty, grumpy old man who wants his own way. And when the Dalek comes through going, "Now do you understand, Doctor?" And he goes, "Yes. Oh, yes. I do understand, yes." You could tell the second Doctor is literally terrified at that point when he realises there's a Dalek behind him and goes, "Yes. Yes. Yes." Like that. I do like that. My all-time favourite Troughton story is The Power of the Daleks. Now, I love it because when you see the regeneration between the Doctor and William Hartnell, and the Doctor's just there trying to recover, and he's there going, "Concentrate on one thing, like that." And then when he comes out of the TARDIS, and then he sees the Earth Examiner get shot, and then he pretends to be the Earth Examiner, and then the cliffhanger of episode 1, where he goes, "Ben, Polly, come and meet the Daleks." The what? the Daleks. And then when even the animation pulls it off brilliantly, because when Triton's just there looking like he's looking, pretends to look one way and in another direction, you see the kind of Dalek mutant just literally crawling underneath a door, and you just have that dun 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 dun. It really creates a great moment and stuff. I do love Power of the Daleks. It's my also favourite Troughton story. So that is how I rank the stories I've seen for Troughton's era. I do like Troughton's run. He's my second, as I said, he's my third favourite Doctor. His era is my third favourite. To say out of the 60s Doctor, I prefer his era more to William Hartnell's era, because I really like to see Troughton's Doctor. He can be very, very serious at times. He can be very silly. He can be very, very quirky and alien, which is the one thing you need to be the Doctor. And Troughton pulls it off. Absolutely spot on. So let me know in the comments what you think of Troughton's run. How do you rank his 17 stories we got on DVD? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Please do like, subscribe and share. And join me tomorrow for more Doctor Who content videos. Have a great day.